You're still listening to Breakfast Connect on Africa Business Radio. It's our Independence Day edition. 60 years it's been. Nigeria has surely come a long way. In this period, we've seen one civil war, one assassinated head of state, another has died in office, a president also has died in office, and in between all these, there have been coups and coup plots, economic boom and gloom. So as we go along in our conversation, we want to look back at the Nigerian economy and everything in between in the last 60 years. Joining me in the conversation is Alesta Wilcox. He is a chartered accountant. So Nigeria is 60. This anniversary is traditionally depicted with the precious stone diamond. But economy-wise, do we have the valuation of a rare diamond? And if not, why?
Yes, there's everything to show diamond, because the way we were in 1960 is not the same way we were today. A lot has changed. A lot has opened up. A lot of land space has opened up. If you talk of infrastructure, we've gone far. You might have been progressed a bit. But there's everything to celebrate about. So being 60 is not a joke. A lot of countries didn't make it to 60. They split, they broke up and everything. But still within the name Nigeria for the past 60 years is something that I think is something that we should already come and celebrate.
In the 60 years we've existed as a nation, we have had 21 uninterrupted years of civilian rule. In that period, Nigeria's GDP, according to the World Bank, has grown sixfold. In 1999, despite Nigeria's vast oil wealth, GDP was a mere $59.37 billion. As at 2018, however, that figure skyrocketed to $397 billion, which is quite commendable. It rose the highest in 2014 when we sold oil at a little over $100 per barrel. But per capita, the picture is totally different, with AFDB data showing 152 million Nigerians live on less than $2 a day. What's your response to that?
Thank you very much. Number one, when anybody say 152 million Nigerians, well, this figure keeps shifting. Sometimes it's 70, sometimes 60, sometimes 100, sometimes 152. The 152 million Nigerians are living below $2 per day. In today's exchange rate, even if I take the highest, at 450, you're talking about 900 naira per day. And if you say 152 million are living there, then how did the contract thing achieve that per capita? Achieve that GDP? So that you are not saying that there are only about 48 million Nigerians that are either working or any reasonable income. Because that cannot be true. So they just value these figures either from political perspective or just somehow to want to apply the country or create any kind of that can never be the truth. If you take the very populated states in the country, you're taking Lagos, you're taking Kano. Lagos conservatively is about 25 million people. Even though I start Nigerian census figure, we don't have accurate sense of we'll keep imagining our population. Let me take Lagos to be the most populated state in the country, 25 million people. Are you telling me that 20 million Lagosians are living below $2 per day? Now, if you take Kano, the second most populated state in the country, we have, let's say, plus or minus, let's give Kano 15 million. Are you saying 12 million people in Kano is living below $2 per day? So, when we brandish these figures, we just brandish any figures that we want to, and begin to create, give our people self-defeating attitude, and everyone keep shouting, we are hungry, we are hungry, we are hungry. Even the average Okada man eats more than 900 naira per day at Mama Put. So these are some of the narratives. I don't want to sound social. I want to sound economic. As an general accountant, I don't want to sound social. Because you go down to the street, the question is the figures are totally wrong. Because when you go to a buka to eat lunch, an average Lagosian, an average Okada man, even the man that carries Alabaru, the man that carries job in the market, when he goes to eat at the buka, sometimes he spends somewhere than 900 naira to eat. That is the one he eats at lunch, not his breakfast, his dinner, and the one he eats at home or give his wife or family to eat. So sometimes when we carry this figure, we should be careful. That can never be true. Talking about economic growth, yes, Nigeria economic has grown tremendously. Like in 2014, why oil remained our mainstay all this while? We didn't invest so much in agriculture. So when the oil price goes up, our GDP will go up. When the oil price comes down, our GDP will begin to struggle. But in recent time, in the last 5 years or 4-5 years, we have seen a resurgence of agriculture. We have seen a resurgence of informal sector initiatives. Agriculture is taking a front burner right now. There are a lot of initiatives. The CBN are pumping so much money. Individuals are pumping so much money. People have devised a more funding mechanism for agriculture, what they call the crowdfunding. A lot of people are now putting resources together to invest in agriculture. I don't know how much time we have for this, but I tell you, we are not counting our GDP rightly. That's just the truth of the matter. Now, you are talking about per capita income. Of course, per capita income has to do with population. Our population is growing exponentially. That's what we must know. So our population is growing exponentially. So whatever GDP we are having, by the time you go to per capita, it will be very low because of our population. If we don't do anything about our population, we will keep seeing ourselves as another dog. What is the entire population of UK? In 1960, the UK population was about 45 million. Today, UK is up to 70 million. That's a part of Great Britain. They are still around 65, 70. They are not to 70 million. Nigeria was about 45 million in 1960. Today, they still at 200 million. Now, if you compare the per capita income of 1965 before the first ministry, 1960 before the first ministry, 1960 before the first ministry coup, even 1979 at the advance of democracy, even 1999, if you compare our population then and now, you know what it is. So by the time you share the GDP to per capita to population, it will be very, very small. That does not mean that Nigeria, we are not making progress individually. Number one, we don't use our real population. We are only estimating for political conveniences. Our real population is also 200 million. I can be too sure of that. But let's do work with 200 million. And our GDP is higher than what we are doing because a lot of our activities are not recorded. A lot of activities are not recorded, are not part of the GDP equation. So we underestimate our GDP and we over-project our population. What do you have? The secret from in terms of our true potential and our true value.
The Nigerian economy has seen a lot of promise during its longest civilian rule. Can you speak on how to transform those promises into reality and how to sustain that reality?
Yes, thank you. Like I said, number one, we don't know our population. As at 19, when the Bangladesh government, is it 1991 or 1991? I remember either 91 or 92. Sorry for my year. When he did the census of 1991, I think 1991, yes, 91. Yes, exactly. Our population was put at about 89 million, not even up to 90 million. We were at about 89 million. That's in 1991. And by the time the Obasanjo administration did their census, this is 2006 now, the last one was 2006, our population shot up to about 160 or 180 million, about 180 million. From that is, you are talking about almost a double leap from 1991 to 2006 when the last census was done. So what can you talk about that? So the figures are totally wrong. Now if you look at our total register, despite all the massive restriction and all whatnot, I'm sure no child maybe very few of 18 national minimum tax. After that, register is about 80 million, not even 80 million. Despite all the padding and everything, and then the people that really come out to vote in every election, no matter how the rigging, no matter how the mobilization, sometimes does not get even up to 50 million. So these are pointers to the fact of what is our true population. I come from a village where I'm not sure the population of my village is up to 200 people. But let me be fair, maybe 500. We're not up to 500. I can't see my village up to 500 people. But by the time you see the population figure that comes from there, you will be marveled. So, and that's across so many villages. So, these things are not, we don't have the accurate census. So, when these figures go out there, you can say 152 million Nigerians live under 2 naira. Look at, you take the banking sector. How much does go and find out from the bank the cash turnout in the banking system. Go and turn out from the bank the ATM withdrawals, even in the most remote areas of this country. So while I'm not supposed to be speaking like a street person, I'm supposed to be economic, there is no truth in some of those figures. Now, when they brand these figures, it's either to achieve political consideration or for some people in government to text up these figures in order to create more programs that will benefit a few other people. I don't know if you understand what I mean. These figures, either if it's on the part of government brandishing them, it's okay to create the foundation for them to say, we need some form of intervention in terms of palliative intervention, in terms of social investment programs that will lead to out of poverty. Since civilian regime came in, we've been doing interventions. We used to have what do you call this thing? The one that Obama just has said. What does I just that one Dr. Magnus Marco happens to be the Director General. That's the poverty alleviation program. We'll be having it. States have been having poverty alleviation programs. States have been launching. So I think some of all these things have been launched over the years, 1999, are not having impact. The government has, since this government came in, they've had these social investment programs. I think there's no impact on those programs that every year the figure of poverty keeps increasing. Meanwhile, a lot of investors are going to this program. Some people have bought training tools for people to progress. I think these programs do not have any impact. The CBN has pumped in so much money in agriculture, in SMEs, and in other areas of intervention. Are we saying this program has no impact? Since 1999, rather than having impact, so most of these things are just text or political consideration, just to create some bad images and bad disease. Even the number of working class Nigerians are more than the working number of work. I'm not talking about informal sector. Formal sector working class Nigerians are more than 60 million. So if you have a population of 200 million and you have about 60 million in formal employment, not informal, formal employment, and you are still saying people are living. I'm not talking about informal employment. I'm not talking about the depot drivers, the Okada drivers, the traders on the street and all whatnot. I'm talking about formal sector employees, both government and private, with over 60 million. And we are still saying 152 million per living. So these figures are just initiating for me. I am as an accountant. They're initiating because I can't do any legal planning. I can't even interact and discuss appropriately when you keep giving us this nasty figures. What is the school children and what is the number of children below 18 that are in primary school, that are in secondary school, that are in university? Let's get the accurate figures. We don't have it. So a lot of us don't have it. A lot of us don't have it. We keep brandishing figures that is diminishing our psyche. Like you say, what is psyche? The psyche is diminished every day. Our psyche is diminished. So everybody just feels we are hungry. That is the eating in the country. There is hunger in the land. We are hungry. Meanwhile, if you go to the market every day, the food does not remain. The food they bring to the market does not remain, apart from the wastages. So there are a lot of things happening that we are shortchanging ourselves, undercutting ourselves, and reporting our country in a bad light. And everyone keeps thinking Nigeria is just not making progress. Meanwhile, we have made lots and lots of progress. But it's there. The biggest room in the world is the room of improvement. There is still a lot of ground to cover. But as where we are today, I think I can beat my chest and say I'm proud to be a Nigerian.
Diversification from oil has been something Nigeria has been trying to achieve since the Green Revolution. Over 30 years later, crude oil still makes up about 95% of the country's export earnings and about 40% of government revenues, and this is according to IMF data. Why has it been difficult returning to agriculture, which is the foundation upon which
nobody will give you anything if you don't just that the answer is? Like you said, agriculture was downplayed when a lot of money was coming in from oil. When agriculture become downplayed, and urbanization again that crept in, and quite a number of people who are supposed to be in the villages or in the hinterland and tilling the farm, tilling the soil, all over the city looking for menial white-collar jobs. Some people will be prepared to become messengers, drivers, Okada drivers, keke drivers, and be in the villages to do the real agriculture. A lot of people will, like all these area boys you find in the streets of Lagos with all the muscles, they will prepare to be chasing buses, making more money in terms of daily income, and it is a neglect of over the years, sincerely. It's a neglect of over the years. But since it is obvious now that there's no more free lunch, even in prison there's no free lunch, so there's no more free lunch. Nigeria is getting broke by the day because our population is increasing, and the ability of government to sustain the economy like that is dwindling. So the new initiative now, which is in the last 4 years that the government choose to put enough emphasis on agriculture, has come to stay. Sincerely, it's a habit that, like I say, it's a habit that's going to take time to die. And it's not only the federal government. Sometimes we blame the federal government for every of Nigerians' woe. I keep saying these things. Agriculture is on the conference list. There is the federal government has part to play in agriculture. States, because the states have ministers of agriculture, very big ministers of agriculture. Local government has departments of agriculture with provincial councillors. Even local government like Lagos Island local government, Lagos Island East or West local government, they have a provincial council of agriculture. I don't know if it's for fisheries or for, I don't know. I live in Surulere local government, have provincial council of agriculture and cooperative. I don't know if they are planting. And so to tell you that sector is the one that has that's one of them that has concurrent responsibility, federal, state, and local government. So, and the land belongs to the state and local government. The land belongs to the state and local government. Federal government does not have land apart from Abuja, and maybe they acquire land from the state. So who is to be primarily responsible for agriculture is the state and local government. Now, if you go to a place like Ogun State, the land resource of Ogun State has one of the best land tenure in this country in terms of availability and the potentiality to grow. But what gives most of the land in Ogun State today is used to build church camps and everything. A lot of land speculators have invaded, and everybody wants to acquire, even the small farm holders, the ones that plant cassava, plant what do you call it, banana, plant plantain, all those small plant vegetables, all those small farm holders along that corridor, even along the axis, have all been driven away by land speculators who are interested in estate development, real estate development. So that is the major problem. So it's the state and local government that should now renew the drive. The federal government has done the policy framework. The state and local government should now renew the drive in bringing their people back to the farm, in bringing their people back to the soil. Many people believe that is where the salvation lies. No longer free lunch, because if we begin to grow what we eat and eat what we grow, I tell you, in no distant time, all this there's hunger in the land will disappear. The government did a very good thing by closing the border since when now, against influx of food imports from neighboring countries. That is to give the Nigerian farmers to get their own copy to fill in the gap. There are products that do not take long to mature. For instance, I invested in this crowdfunding for corn, and the return is 50% over 6 months period. That is, people are now taking this. So it is now left for the state and local government to now take this fight to the grassroots, to their own domain, and begin to encourage their people, not political, not the corruption that is fought with every government program, but a real genuine need to reform, so that people will understand that there is no more free lunch even in Freetown, and people should go back to the land. The land is fertile, the yields are there, the returns are very high. So if it's only for people to take advantage of it, all this sitting in urban cities and this chasing Okada riders and chasing keke, go to abandon now. You find young men, able-bodied men, drinking a Google one side and waiting for returns from their boys who they've been asked to be collecting tools from Danfo's and these are wasted labor and wasted funds. So we have a population that is unproductive, wasted population, but still fat on the remnants of the system. That is part of our problem.
Nigeria operates one of the most expensive democracies among developing countries. According to a 2015 budget data, Nigerian legislators receive annual salaries of between $150,000 and $190,000 per annum, depending on exchange rates. Now, some have called for a downward review of their earnings, while others have called for some government agencies to be scrapped as a way of reducing government spending so that those funds can be diverted to infrastructure development and other social welfare programs. Now, what's your take on this?
Yeah, thank you. Our political system or our governance structure, yes, I agree. We have one of the most expensive and one of the most cumbersome. Obviously. The British, when they left, they gave us their own pattern, which has served them for centuries, which is a parliamentary system, and which some other countries in Australia, New Zealand, is still practicing today. India still practices that system. It's part of the problem, but not all the problem. Of our 60 years independence, democracy has only taken, if I should add, 21 plus 4, that's 25, 25 plus 6, that's 31. Of our 60 years, democracy has only was 31 years, and then military was 29. Military is unitary in nature. You do not have all this cumbersome political, just this cumbersome process program that we're talking about now. Yes, we had that problem. Yes, we cannot say we developed the way we should develop, even under the military. Arguably, I'm sure we made faster progress. Arguably, anyway, I'm sure we made faster progress under the military than under civilians. But for me, whatever form of government that we choose, it is the operators that are the problem. We Nigerians are the problem. For instance, our kind of government make provision for a vibrant legislature that should be a check on the executive. Yes, at national level, we can take examples of that, but at the state level, which of the state level a legislator that is what's called a legislature. Now, it's even what the local government. You don't even know what happens in the local government. You have councillors, you are supposed to have a parliament local government where the councillor should be the king over the chairman. So what do you have? The chairman, in fact, there's even no mention of councillors and local government. So it's part of the problem. I agree. But again, it's not the problem because it's the operators of the problem that is the problem. If today we even change Nigeria to become what they call it now, a parliamentary system of government, if we do not change our attitude towards the process, it will be the same thing. Our system is not too different from that of Ghana. The operation in Ghana is quite different from what we have here. Okay, the situation whereby rule of law is not allowed to operate. The governor there will be a Supreme Court decision, like it happened in Oyo State. The Supreme Court decided that the governor does not have power to dissolve the local government. And today, the governor is still sitting down on his seat very comfortably. And the local government that he dissolved are still dissolved after the Supreme Court of Nigeria has given an order to that effect. What do you call that? So and there's no repercussion either for political experiences, no repercussion. Now go to Edo State. Look at what happened in Edo State. The governor sworn in his loyal members, 9 of them. Some of them came to the at 9 to outside parliamentary hours at 9. Now some of them came there on their pajamas, on rubber slippers. This one they call Dunlop. They came to be inaugurated at 9. The governor did that in Nigeria, and even when the National Assembly came up with their own position, say, look, this is wrong. It is the governor still today. The governor still claims that, and for personal experiences, some people are supporting him. So how do you grow? So even if you bring a parliamentary system today and put it at the federal and local government, a president or a prime minister or something will ride rough over the system, and nothing will happen. So until we commit ourselves to good governance, until we commit ourselves to a responsibility, our position is very broad on power's responsibility. So when that is not done, we saw under when the democracy came newly in 1939, the Obasanjo years had five Senate presidents. The moment you fall out of favor with the president, the Senate president is removed through any means. So that is the problem. That is the problem. It is we the people that are the problem, not the system. So any system that you bring in, if the people, if we have not purged ourselves of indiscipline, of power monger, of stupidity on the side of the people, then we are just running around in a circle, and that is where I fear most about the future of Nigeria.
And research has shown that corruption inhibits economic growth and affects business operations. Just a few days ago, a report by UNCTAD showed that $90 billion left Africa, the whole of Africa, as illicit financial flows. The actual figure, of that amount attributed to Nigeria was not stated, but your guess, on that is as good as mine. Now, Transparency International says Nigeria's corruption ranking was 146 out of 180 in 2019 with a score of 29 out of 100. In fact, the nation's corruption perception index score has been flat for the past 8 years. What needs to be done to change our perception over the last 60 years?
Well, we have always said this. It's either we kill corruption in Africa or corruption will kill us. And that's what will kill us in Africa. Nigeria, I'm sure that 90 billion you're talking about, Nigeria might be around 50 or if not 60. But I wonder how many countries in Africa that have such resources as to throw away. So it's quite a major problem. And as the day goes by, these agencies are just expanding because you find new people in government. They also want to have their own share of the booty because the consequences are either not sufficient or very slow in coming through, and that's the major problem. We've always have what you call lip service treatment to corruption. I don't want to start pointing to who is more corrupt. Is it the military or is it the civilians? I'm sure the military will be envying the civilians today as to the quantum of what has happened between 1999 to now. Just yesterday, we understand that money meant for school feeding was found in private accounts. So all these are very, very worrying. So I'm sure the military will be worried. They will be envying the civilians that they thought we are the most corrupt. And then we don't even know that these ones, we taught them and they learned well and they have expanded on it. It wasn't like this before. I tell you, even the Second Republic, that we are judged to be very, very corrupt. I don't think that 4 years, I don't think what has happened this time around, these 21 years, is going to compare to that 4 years. Yes, even in that 4 years, they delivered a lot of services. In the first 16 years of the first administration, I'm not sure they can point to any one service, any one significant password they delivered. It's even getting better now that at least people can start pointing to something, even if it's debatable, that in this 5 years of what administration is trying to put in place. But I don't know anybody who can point to me anything substantial that happened in the first 16 years of the administration. Is it in power? $12, $16 billion allegedly spent in power, and you can't find power. Is it in rail line? You can't find it. Is it in education? I'm not sure any school of any known school of what is standard is ever built. So the roads are so bad. Even the one we inherited from the military becomes comatose. So there's a lot. But all we need to do is just to be bringing these issues out and be condemning them. Thank God that even in this administration they can point out things that happen within them. That it even came to fore that money was found in private people's accounts with respect to the school feeding fund. It's gratifying. That means it's a government that does not cover up corruption. But after exposition, the consequences, is it there? That again is debatable. Because we also have one cumbersome system to bring people to accountability. Very cumbersome system. We have a system whereby you are presuming innocence until proven guilty. No matter how clear the evidences are. Bring an evidence of a man that you catch his hand right in the cookie jar. You must take him through the legal processes. And there are people who are first beneficiaries of corruption, the lawyers. They are the major beneficiaries of corruption and corrupt practices. They will line up to come and defend and then scuttle the matter and make the processes cumbersome to the extent that even the prosecutor will get tired at some point and the matter will be swept under the carpet. So we need a lot to change. We want a lot to change. If we have to fight corruption, we must have a special court, a special legal system, a more radical way to address issues of corruption. This issue of lumping high-level corruption with all the penal codes law that we have in this country will not take us anywhere. It should be the other way around. You are guilty until you prove your innocence. If you keep using the mantra of your innocence until proving guilty, my dear, we will not go anywhere. People will still commit crime with impunity. They have the money to pay lawyers, they bribe the judges, and then the matter is swept under the carpet. And I think there should be a new mantra in fighting corruption. If we don't keep corruption will certainly kill us. That's one. Two, if we don't control our population growth, you keep shouting Buhari, shouting Abacha, shouting this, shouting that. You are number one of your problem. To control population growth, let's have smaller families. Let's have a more productive workforce, a more productive people, and then I tell you, the country has everything to grow. We'll keep celebrating, and may celebration not end in our families and in our homes.
Thank you, sir, for being our guest on the show today. I know the conversation will continue from here. We really appreciate the privilege of your time.
It's always my pleasure. Anytime. Thank you.